This presentation will give a quick overview of the material, readings, and assignments this week in GP210 American Government 1. My name is Mark Olson, and I'm a political instructor here at Grantham University. I'm just visiting your class this week for this lecture. It's very likely that I'm not your instructor for this class. Now, if you have any questions about the material this week, please contact your instructor directly. You can find their contact information under the Instructor Information link in Blackboard. Your instructor is here to help you succeed in this course, so please do not hesitate to contact them with any questions you might have. Who is responsible for writing our laws, and how are those laws written? Are there limits on what can be written into law in our nation? This week we will be examining the legislative branch of our government. At the successful completion of this week's lessons, you should be prepared to first describe the three branches of government. Now, our founders were afraid of power being concentrated in the hands of too few people. Therefore, the power of governing in our nation was split between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. We will learn how each of these branches function and what powers they each have. This week, we will focus on the legislative branch of government. Second, we'll be examining federalism. Power in our political system is also split between the states and the national federal government. We will learn why our unique federal system of government developed and how it impacts our lives. Finally, you should be able to explain a little bit about the electoral process. We will learn a bit about how legislators are chosen to represent us by election. This week there are two lectures to read. First, Lecture A, a guided tour of Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution describes the powers of Congress, which is the legislative branch of our federal government. This lecture will guide you through reading Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution one line at a time. Second, Lecture B, a thematic analysis of the legislative branch. In this lecture, we will consider the broader themes incorporated in the development of our legislative branch of government. This week, you will be participating in our class discussions and completing one written assignment. First, participating in the Week 2 discussion, the gerrymandering game. For our discussion this week, you will be playing a computer game called the gerrymandering game. In this game, you will learn what gerrymandering is. In our discussions, we will be considering the controversy of gerrymandering. Second, completing the Week 2 assignment, federal budget activity. For your assignment this week, you will be completing a very fun simulation in which you will be creating your own federal budget and then writing an essay discussing your budget decisions. As with all discussions and assignments, please be sure to read and follow the instructions very carefully. Please also take care to proofread your work, keep your text professional, and do not plagiarize. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact your instructor. This week you will be reading the following: Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution and Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Last week, we read several primary sources that discussed the principles of our nation's founding. With the Constitution, our founders sought to take those principles and apply them to the real-world work of government. In our lecture this week, we learned about Article 1. Next week, we will learn about Article 2. Remember, your instructor and student advisor are here to help you succeed. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact either your instructor or your student advisor. Begin by reading this week's written lectures in your Week 2 course material. After this week, we've already completed 1/4 of the course, so don't get behind.